Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all. Always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. I am so clever that sometimes I don't understand a single word of what I am saying. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. If one cannot enjoy reading a book over and over again, there is no use in reading it at all. It is what you read when you don't have to that determines what you will be when you can't help it. The books that the world calls immoral are books that show the world its own shame. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Yes, I am a dreamer, for a dreamer is one who can only find his way by moonlight, and his punishment is that he sees the dawn before the rest of the world. You can never be overdressed or overeducated. Never love anyone who treats you like you're ordinary. Most people are other people. Their thoughts are someone else's opinions, their lives a mimicry, their passions a quotation. A good friend will always stab you in the front. You will always be fond of me. I represent to you all the sins you never had the courage to commit. Women are meant to be loved, not to be understood. I don't want to go to heaven. None of my friends are there. Anyone who lives within their means suffers from a lack of imagination. Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. I am not young enough to know everything. Experience is merely the name men gave to their mistakes. A thing is not necessarily true because a man dies for it. Hearts are made to be broken. You don't love someone for their looks, or their clothes, or for their fancy car, but because they sing a song only you can hear. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. Everything in the world is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. Man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask, and he will tell you the truth. I think God, in creating man, somewhat overestimated his ability. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read in the train. With freedom, flowers, books, and the moon, who could not be perfectly happy? To define is to limit. Some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. I don't want to be at the mercy of my emotions. I want to use them, to enjoy them, and to dominate them. Nowadays, people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Education is an admirable thing, but it is well to remember from time to time that nothing that is worth knowing can be taught. I can resist anything except temptation. A cynic is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. All women become like their mothers. That is their tragedy. No man does, and that is his. The only way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. I am too fond of reading books to care to write them. There is only one thing in the world worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. It is absurd to divide people into good and bad. People are either charming or tedious. Behind every exquisite thing that existed, there was something tragic. Quotation is a serviceable substitute for wit. Who, being loved, is poor. Crying is for plain women. Pretty women go shopping. I have the simplest tastes. I am always satisfied with the best. Children begin by loving their parents. As they grow older, they judge them. Sometimes they forgive them. Selfishness is not living as one wishes to live. It is asking others to live as one wishes to live. When one is in love, one always begins by deceiving oneself, and one always ends by deceiving others. That is what the world calls a romance. We are each our own devil, and we make this world our hell. I have nothing to declare except my genius. Anybody can sympathize with the sufferings of a friend, but it requires a very fine nature to sympathize with a friend's success. A man's face is his autobiography. A woman's face is her work of fiction. Fashion is a form of ugliness so intolerable that we have to alter it every 6 months. Never marry at all, Dorian. Men marry because they are tired, women because they are curious. Both are disappointed. Whenever people agree with me, I always feel I must be wrong. No good deed goes unpunished. After a good dinner, one can forgive anybody, even one's own relations. Morality is simply the attitude we adopt towards people we personally dislike. Life is far too important a thing ever to talk seriously about. I like men who have a future and women who have a past. The world is a stage and the play is badly cast. To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. Art is the only serious thing in the world, and the artist is the only person who is never serious. We live in an age when unnecessary things are our only necessities. Some things are more precious because they don't last long. I choose my friends for their good looks, my acquaintances for their good characters, and my enemies for their good intellects. Every woman is a rebel. Only dull people are brilliant at breakfast. Humanity takes itself too seriously. It is the world's original sin. If the caveman had known how to laugh, history would have been different. To get back my youth, I would do anything in the world, except take exercise, get up early, or be respectable. Live the wonderful life that is in you. Let nothing be lost upon you. Be always searching for new sensations. Be afraid of nothing. A bore is someone who deprives you of solitude without providing you with company. Nowadays, most people die of a sort of creeping common sense and discover when it is too late that the only things one never regrets are one's mistakes. Nothing can cure the soul but the senses, just as nothing can cure the senses but the soul. There are only two kinds of people who are really fascinating. People who know absolutely everything, and people who know absolutely nothing. How can a woman be expected to be happy with a man who insists on treating her as if she were a perfectly normal human being? Everything in moderation, including moderation. If you are not long, I will wait for you all my life. Every portrait that is painted with feeling is a portrait of the artist, not of the sitter. The world is changed because you are made of ivory and gold. The curves of your lips will write history. The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last. America is the only country that went from barbarism to decadence without civilization in between. The public have an insatiable curiosity to know everything, except what is worth knowing. Society often forgives the criminal. It never forgives the dreamer. An idea that is not dangerous is unworthy of being called an idea at all. I may not agree with you, but I will defend to the death your right to make an ass of yourself. There is no sin except stupidity. Laughter is not at all a bad beginning for a friendship, and it is by far the best ending for one. Life is too short to learn German. The nicest feeling in the world is to do a good deed anonymously and have somebody find out. One should never trust a woman who tells one her real age. A woman who would tell one that would tell one anything. I always pass on good advice. It is the only thing to do with it. It is never of any use to oneself. Women have a much better time than men in this world. There are far more things forbidden to them. Whenever a man does a thoroughly stupid thing, it is always from the noblest motives. The good ended happily, and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means. It takes a great deal of courage to see the world in all its tainted glory, and still to love it. The basis of optimism is sheer terror. There are many things that we would throw away if we were not afraid that others might pick them up. They've promised that dreams can come true, but forgot to mention that nightmares are dreams, too. The public is wonderfully tolerant. It forgives everything except genius. Hear no evil, speak no evil, and you won't be invited to cocktail parties. I never put off till tomorrow what I can possibly do the day after. A little sincerity is a dangerous thing, and a great deal of it is absolutely fatal. I am tired of myself tonight. I should like to be somebody else. The mystery of love is greater than the mystery of death. This wallpaper is dreadful. One of us will have to go. A man can be happy with any woman as long as he does not love her. One should always be in love. That's the reason one should never marry. I knew nothing but shadows, and I thought them to be real. He has no enemies, but is intensely disliked by his friends. If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make up for it by being always immensely overeducated. I don't say we all ought to misbehave, but we ought to look as if we could. Music makes one feel so romantic, at least it always gets on one's nerves, which is the same thing nowadays. All art is quite useless. Men marry because they are tired. Women because they are curious. Both are disappointed. The most terrible thing about it is not that it breaks one's heart. Hearts are made to be broken, but that it turns one's heart to stone. I like persons better than principles, and I like persons with no principles better than anything else in the world. Only the shallow know themselves. The world was my oyster, but I used the wrong fork. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being good all the time. That would be hypocrisy. I love acting. It is so much more real than life. One can always be kind to people about whom one cares nothing. You like everyone. That is to say, you are indifferent to everyone. Life is never fair, and perhaps it is a good thing for most of us that it is not. She is very clever, too clever for a woman. She lacks the indefinable charm of weakness. The aim of life is self-development. To realize one's nature perfectly, that is what each of us is here for. Consistency is the hallmark of the unimaginative. Everything popular is wrong. No man is rich enough to buy back his past. Irony is wasted on the stupid. The one charm about the past is that it is the past. Life has been your art. You have set yourself to music. Your days are your sonnets. Punctuality is the thief of time. She behaves as if she was beautiful. Most American women do. It is the secret of their charm. I hate people who are not serious about meals. It is so shallow of them. When the gods wish to punish us, they answer our prayers. Between men and women there is no friendship possible. There is passion, enmity, worship, love, but no friendship. A man who does not think for himself does not think at all. Friendship is far more tragic than love. It lasts longer. They get up early because they have so much to do and go to bed early because they have so little to think about. One should always play fairly when one has the winning cards. Work is the curse of the drinking classes. Illusion is the first of all pleasures. I adore simple pleasures. They are the last refuge of the complex. Some things are too important to be taken seriously.